How's it going, Chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. Today's podcast is brought to you by Adventures in Homebrewing, an awesome homebrewing store that supplies beer, wine, and spirit supplies for home distillers, home winemakers, and home beer makers. Shipping's free on most orders over $50 for those in the lower 48, and they even have international shipping, which is pretty freaking awesome. You can find them at homebrewing.org/CTC. That's homebrewing.org/CTC. Using that link is not going to cost you a cent. It's going to take you straight to their specials page, and it's going to give Chase the Craft a little kickback to keep us going as well. This podcast is also brought to you by the Patreons. Thank you so much, Patreons. You make all of this possible. I know it, you know it, everyone else knows it as well, so you deserve the thanks. If you're not sure what Patreon is, it's a platform that allows people to sign up and pledge a small monthly amount in return for a little bit of behind-the-scenes action, a little extra content, and a few rewards every now and again. So if you're finding value in this podcast or the Chase the Craft videos and you'd like to help give back, you can go to chasethecraft.com/support to find out all the ways that you can help out. One of those, if it's right for you, is Patreon. My guest today is a super interesting one, guys. He's not strictly in the industry as such. Instead, he gets paid to travel and learn about spirits, about beer, and about wine. This guy was in the military for a long, long time. He had a long military career, including 5 years of deployment. When he retired and got home, he sold all of his stuff so he could fund traveling around the world and learning about beer, wine, and spirits. It wasn't long before he realized that other people were interested in this stuff as well, and he started shooting videos about it. He's been to over 12 countries so far, met a bunch of cool people, and created, I think, upwards of 60 videos now, including a video on tequila that's got more than 1 million views. How cool is that, guys? And he's not going to be stopping anytime soon. Right now, he's going to school in San Diego, learning about brewing beer. Next year, he's going to be off to Scotland to study distilling. And as his name grows in the industry, he's getting more and more access to really cool people, really cool companies, and really cool locations to make kick-ass content for you. It was an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to another YouTube creator and be able to talk shop, give you guys a little peek behind the curtain and see what it's really like to try and run a channel in 2020. While you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, I want you to think of it from two different directions. One is just to sort of get an idea of what it's like so you can appreciate content a little bit more. And two, I want you to realize that it is entirely possible to create a career that focuses on craft beverages without actually being in the industry of making craft beverages. So if you have a passion for this stuff, you really want to make your life's work about it, but you don't think actually producing the stuff is for you, take some inspiration from Jeff and realize that you can do something tangential to craft spirits and still be able to provide for yourself and your family. So without further delay, Jeff Bradford from Beer, Wine, and Spirits. All right, we're live with Jeff from Beer, Wine, and Spirits. How the hell are you, dude? This is cool, man. Good to have you.
Dude, I'm doing great, my man. How are you doing?
I am excellent, man. So this is fun for me because your audience and my audience and our channels we've been talking behind the scenes quite a bit.
Yeah.
For some time now, which is awesome. It's great to be able to meet you. But I guess this is the first time that we're really going to sort of like introduce people from one to the other, which is pretty cool, man, because I don't think there's a huge overlap in our audiences yet.
No, I don't. It's funny because I think I got a message from one guy. He's like, hey, check out this show, Still It. Just a message on a YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm busy doing my thing. And so
I feel you.
I put it on my list, right? And it kept going down the priority list and this. And then all of a sudden, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people just sort of, dude, you got to check out this guy, Jesse, man, over in New Zealand. He's doing some cool things. You guys need to link up. And then, so after I started thinking about it, I'm like, man, 7, 8 people. The universe is telling me something, man. So that's when I connected and I looked at your show and I'm like, dude, this guy is doing some cool stuff, man. So I'm really digging what you're doing and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, we even got to the point where we were talking about you getting over here. And then, wow, COVID.
Yeah.
We'll look at that some other time.
Man, we got an episode lined up, man, because I think you and I are on the same sheet of music in terms of like when you first told me, like, again, this is how ignorant I am to what's going on like over there. And this is what's really cool about technology, right? Is as soon as I started learning about, you reached out to me and you said, hey, this is what's going on in New Zealand. And you're like, distilling's legal here. And first thing I did was like, what? Are you freaking serious, man? So, and then all these ideas started happening, and then I'm bouncing, and then you and I talk, and we're bouncing ideas back and forth, and we're like, let's do an episode, man. And I'm excited when everything gets back to normal to get over there and really, really highlight that, and why other countries need to start thinking about this and what we can learn from New Zealand actually legalizing it, right? And just spreading that to the world.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I am super keen to do it. I had exactly the same experience as you, man. I had a couple of people mention you to me, just like in my comments section.
Yeah.
Didn't think much of it. So, it's hard to keep up with everything.
It is.
Everything coming at you with emails and messages and comments and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, and then the same thing happened 2 or 3 later. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I've got a spare 20 minutes. I better click on this guy and see what the hell he's up to. And straight away, man, I don't know, tell me if this is about right, but I'm guessing when I first looked at your channel, you would have been at about 15,000 subs?
Yeah, I was probably, man. It was a rocky start, man, from the get-go. Which I know you,
man.
It is, man. It was a rocky start, and I probably had less than that, to be honest. It was probably just my mom and brother following me when you look at it. I mean, literally, brother. I was like, it was rocky, man. It was a tough start sledding for like a good year. I don't know how you felt about when you started the channel.
100%, man. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I watched that. I can't actually remember what the first video I watched was. Oh, I do know. It was Nevin on Nokia, which is hilarious because since then you've now put me in touch with him, and I've recorded the podcast with him, and he's an awesome guy. But I clicked on that video, it started up, and I just watched your intro, and went, holy shit! How does this guy not have 100,000 subscribers, like at least? And I hadn't even watched any of the content. So for any of you, if you guys are listening to this, jump on YouTube, like literally right now, jump on YouTube, track Jeff down, Beer, Wine, and Spirits, and subscribe and start watching because it's really cool. It's really cool content. Okay, like maybe let's back up just a little bit, dude. I'm kind of a little loath to do these long intro. Who are you and how did you get to where you are? But I think it's actually kind of interesting for you, man. Because essentially you just get to cruise wherever the hell you want now and talk to interesting people. So that's pretty, I don't know, that's dope, dude.
Yeah, some people say I have the coolest job. I like to say I have the coolest job in the world, right? But it didn't come without some type of obviously struggle, right? And the long story short, I mean, I was 20 years in the United States Army. 20 years of that, 20 years in, 5 years of that was in combat, so in Afghanistan and Iraq. And thankfully, I came back with all hands, and my arms and legs, and and had to really think about what my next move was. And one of my passions, I wrote down a list of my passions when I decided to retire. One of my passions was I was always curious when I looked at a beer, wine, spirit label, right? You're having a drink of Jack Daniels or, Rocky from Croatia. And you're like, man, who makes this, how it's made? And that's really where it stemmed from, man. It was just the curiosity of that. I traveled a lot with the military, and, for me, it was, it was something that I really enjoyed and wanted to know more about. So when I retired, I said, I saved up a ton of money, obviously, because I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out of the military. And I sold everything that I owned, and I set out and reached out to brewers, winemakers, distillers, and said, hey, can I come learn from you guys? And at the beginning, it was hilarious. Literally for one yes, I got probably 50 no's, right? Like, who the hell are you? Like, what do you want to do? And at the beginning, I was just blogging. So I was just like trying to, and by the way, I can't even, I mean, I'm an Army guy, right? I shoot guns, jump out of airplanes. Like, can you imagine me trying to write down notes while these guys are telling me all the technical information about learning? My head was exploding every single day, but I loved it, you know, and that was the thing where I knew, I was like, wait a minute, you know, there's something about this that I really enjoy. And the funny thing is, I was living in Belgium. I was over at, working with NATO Special Operations headquarters there. And when I retired, the brewery that said yes was actually Delirium. Out of all breweries, right? Delirium, which are they're famous, obviously famous brewery there in Belgium, the Pink Elephant. And went over there and learned, and that was it, man. I caught the bug, and you know, it was funny. I'd come back and I would tell friends, I'd be like, I just brewed beer with Delirium. And they're like, no way. You freaking did what? Did you capture that anything on video or anything? And I'm like, no, because I was too busy freaking writing everything down in a notebook. So that's when I kind of, you know, switched to filming the episodes and started getting the idea of filming it. But initially I was scared, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I was in the Army. I was shying away from cameras. Like, I mean, what the hell do I want to be in front of a camera for, you know? And so it took me some time to you know, build up enough courage, I guess, if you will, to actually say, you know what, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to film an episode and do it. So, yeah, fast forward almost 2 years, and we've got a little over 60 episodes. I've been to, you know, over 12, 13 countries now, and met some of the some amazing personalities, some amazing brewers, winemakers, distillers, and I'm just getting started, man. Life is pretty good right now.
Yeah, that's freaking cool. Sorry, everyone. I use this room in the house because it's the quietest room in the house, and the neighbor, like right next to us, has just decided to mow their lawn. So if the audio is horrible, I apologize. It'll go away soon. Yeah, dude. I mean, part of the reason I wanted to talk to you is that I see a lot of people that find a passion in alcoholic beverage category, you know, like beer, wine, spirits, RTD, whatever it happens to be. And they're stuck in a day job that they just hate and they want out. And, you know, there's a passion there and a desire to do something that's fulfilling, which I can completely understand. Life's too short to, you know, it just is. And a lot of people seem to think that the only way to get into the industry, the only way to be around those things, the only way to be involved in what they love is to make it, you know, like become a distiller, work for someone else, be an apprentice, maybe work in a bar as like a stretch, you know, like at least I get to talk about this stuff all day long and share it with people that love it as well.
Right.
You've decided that your job is literally to learn about it, which is freaking awesome. And you get to share that with other people, which is, that was pretty much my game plan too. So in case people have come along recently and don't know, the game plan for both myself and Jeff was literally, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Let me figure this out. And as I figure out, I'll share it with other people because I'm sure someone else is wondering the same thing that I'm wondering. And it's pretty cool, man. Like, it is a very fulfilling thing to be able to share your accomplishments and also your screw-ups with other people, I think.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I mean, my channel, just like yours, is an evolution of learning, right? And not just about beer, wine, and spirits. I mean, we're wearing multiple hats, right? I mean, it's not like I have tons of money to be able to get this whole, like, you know, if you ever watch an end of a movie or a TV show, I mean, look at all the names that come up, right? And unfortunately, it's just me and a videographer on my episodes. And so you're wearing so many different hats. So I think the cool thing about, you know, when I look at my channel, and I hope everybody else does, is they go back to early 2018 when we first started, you know, and then they see the episodes now and they say, holy crap, yeah, I do see a difference, right? This guy is getting better every day. He is learning every single day. And that's my thesis, man, is, you know, I want to learn every day. I want to bring people on this journey with me to learn. You know, I'm asking the same questions, you know, about the same things, you know, like about beer, wine, and spirits. And I just hope to bring that to life to people, you know, and share it with everybody. So it's super cool, man, like you said.
Oh, dude, 100%. And it's so, I look back, it's like my first, probably, I don't know, my first 50 videos, maybe my first 50. that. Just like, holy crap, why did anyone take me serious? Like, why did anyone watch this? It is so bad.
Dude, my audio is horrible. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm watching back to it, and I'm thinking this is the best thing since sliced bread back then. I'm like, dude, this is amazing. I should get 1 billion views. No, it was pretty bad. So, but yeah, I hope everybody, when they look at it, they're like, they see it and they're like, okay, well, he put some effort into it, but they see the evolution from now until then. And I hope even 2 years from now, right, we even look back at right now, which I'm thinking everything is amazing. But they say, wow, look at the jump from what he's done from even now to even 2 years from now. So
I 100% agree, dude. And I think that is a direct parallel for how do I put it? The only people that are really going to succeed are the people that are their own worst critics, right? And this is, we're not just talking about YouTube. The obvious one is people that are making craft spirits or craft beer or craft wine. If you cannot look at your product, whatever the hell your product is, and pull it apart and figure out everything that's wrong with it and try and improve on it every single time you make something, you're going to get left behind eventually. Even if you are a savant, even if you're the best at what you do, you're not going to be for long. It's just the way it is, right?
Couldn't say it any better, man. And that's my thing. Every episode, every story, is how can we tweak things? How can we make it better? How can we make it interesting? And you're right, man. When you start an endeavor like this, especially getting into it from scratch, like you and I have done, we are. I mean, I don't know about you, man. I'm battling those voices in my head, even now, even today, right? I'm just like, am I good enough? Why haven't I achieved this or like this? It's a constant battle every day in and day out too, as well. So it's definitely been a roller coaster ride, man. But at the same time, when you're passionate and this is your purpose, like. You keep going, man. I wake up every day with the same enthusiasm, no matter how much I'm in my head. I just quiet it down with, I shut that little, bitch voice up, if you will. Sorry, excuse my language, but that's what I tell myself. I literally tell myself, like, shut up, dude. Like, you're better than this. Look at what you have achieved. Keep going, because like you said, you're your own worst critic, man, especially being on a creative aspect, like what we're doing.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, I wasn't necessarily thinking about talking about this, but we're here now. So when we're getting here, there's going to be people out there that are thinking about starting something, a podcast, a blog, a YouTube channel, or whatever. Or on the flip side, there's going to be people that own a distillery or work at a distillery, and everyone keeps telling them they should be doing social media marketing. You've got to be creating content to be relevant, and this, blah, 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 blah. Should we talk about starting something like this for a little bit?
I like, you know what I like, Jesse? I like the sigh before you said that. You're like, because I too, let's dive into it, my man. But you know how it is. I mean, I think the sigh tells it all, dude. It's
straight up. If I could do this, like if I was transported back 5 years and said, would you do this again, knowing everything you know now? I don't know, man. Like even if I had the skills and the experience that I've got now, I don't know if I would start that channel again. Just because, like you said, it's a grind for so long.
Yeah. And
I feel like if I did it 10 times, if I did exactly what I'd done, like everything, if I got put in a time machine back to where I was, and I did everything exactly the same, I feel like only one time in 10 I would make it through to where I am now, because it's kind of like one of the best piece of advice I ever got when I started the channel was that the only thing you can do is do everything right. You can show up and kick ass, and your entire goal is to kick ass long enough until you get lucky enough to be able to capitalize on the fact that you're doing good. And do you know what I mean? Like, you can be doing everything perfect, and the algorithm just doesn't give a shit. It won't pick you up. It won't show you to anyone. You will get no views. And then one day someone will mention you somewhere. Oh, I saw this crazy YouTuber that has like 200 followers, and he's so much better than that. Like, go watch him, and maybe you get 100 subs out of it. You double your subs from 100 to 200, and then but if you're not showing up every day and grinding regardless of the results, you don't get that opportunity.
I agree.
Like, would you start again?
Dude, Jesse, I'm with you, man. Like, dude, when I thought about this, I was already like, dude, I want to create something. Look, I spent a lot of time thinking about the niche in beer, wine, and spirits. Like, how do I want to navigate this, right? Everybody's swirling the glass, everybody's, doing that in that aspect, but nobody's showing behind the scenes, right? Exactly what you and I are doing. And then I said, okay, I want to make the best content possible for that. That was it. Like when I first started, I mean, if you call business plan that, I mean, that was it. Like all of a sudden, next thing I know, it was like, I just create videos, put it on YouTube. Like, okay, you look up and research, all these, okay, titles, thumbnails, and all this stuff. But nobody told me like, wait a minute, you need this social media, like marketing plan. Like, I always tell people like when you first start an endeavor, you're like on this tiny little island out in the middle of nowhere. You've got all the tools on this island, right? And all this stuff to put it together. You make a boat, an airplane, you can make whatever, right? Whatever you do make, if you make an airplane, you can get off there a little bit faster, if you understand it. So the tools are what? It's Instagram, it's all these different platforms. You also have to have a budget behind there, right? To be able to get off this island. And that's how I look at it, man. And I didn't know about it. So, for the first year, like I'm trying to play catch up and I'm trying to figure it out because I didn't, I was in the Army. I didn't know how to do Instagram ads or Instagram posts or Facebook and this, that, and the other. So, along with learning how to edit and produce and be in front of a camera, along with a lot of the other things, right? Learning about beer, wine, and spirit, you're also learning about social media marketing. And again, you're wearing all these different hats, and I'm with you, man. Like it's tough. A lot of, if people, people can, I always laugh that, people can always comment on what you're doing and give you some very negative feedback, right? And stuff like that. But until you're in the arena, man, you don't know. And that's the thing I always keep in mind. Like, man, I hear the haters out there, man. I could do this better. My audio is this and stuff like that. But and rightfully so. I'm creating content, putting on it, and I should get get that feedback. But I also say that, man, being in the arena is one, being in the stands is one thing, and then being in that arena is another, man.
It's a tricky thing, dude. And I mean, I feel like we're going to talk through a few things here. So guys, This is us talking shop, but the reason I want to talk shop for a little while, and we get on to other things later on, is that if you are entertaining the idea of throwing your hat in the ring with this sort of stuff, these are the things that are going to come up on a daily basis. And if you're not cool with that, if you're not sure, if you're not going to just go balls deep on it, find another way to do something. Because if you don't, like it's kind of down to the little things, like having a video on a schedule. Like, what's your schedule? Is it weekly? Is it 2 videos a week? Is it once a month? Whatever is it? And then you see people like, oh man, I was real busy this month. It's like, really, dude? You're too busy to show up to work? Like, you're punching a time clock. It's for you, and just because you show up doesn't mean you get paid. But like you need to think of it like a full-time job. Like, and that's tricky for some people.
And it literally is. I mean, to tell the truth, man, I spend probably 2 to 4 hours a day on just social media. I don't have. That's why companies outsource that, scale that to marketing teams, right? I mean, it does so much time to, and I'm talking about, putting my stuff out there on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, not to mention YouTube, right? All these different platforms. And then coming up with the strategy, it's like, okay, who am I targeting? Who am I trying to target? Who needs to see? Because that's the way to do it nowadays. Organic reach. Everybody thinks, when they get it, like for me, I thought, oh, let me upload a video on Instagram. Oh, it'll go to everybody. And oh yeah, I have X amount of followers. All those followers and all those people that hit subscribe are going to see it. And it's just not the case. You know what I mean? So again, that's just it's just doing your homework and understanding it and, learning as you go. But it's going to take a lot more of your time than what you think. I know, like I said, for you and I, we thought of it coming into it a little bit differently, and we found out really quick we had to adapt.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I had never touched video in my life. I was a commercial photographer beforehand. which in some ways was a huge leg up, and in some ways was a huge hindrance. in that I was doing things that didn't matter. Like I was spending too much time on things that didn't matter. I was working with basically no budget. We went about things very differently. So for me, it was literally some dude in his shed that was working a shitty job, a dead end, just bought a house, had a new kid, had no money to spend on everything. So I was like scrounging up parts from secondhand shops and stuff to buy my first still and to build my first still and everything. Whereas you were like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'm just going to start traveling. You know, like, so the thing is, I guess my point is, you don't need a budget to start with. You need a camera. And here's the deal, guys. Video quality is great, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as audio. So like, get good audio and get good video, but good enough is good enough. And I think that's something else that I had to learn pretty early on. And this is where the commercial photography did help me, is that good is, you know, like, how do I put it? Finished is better than perfect. You know, like, you've got a deadline. You need to get your shit out.
Yes.
You know, and you just need to get something out every week. If you're the sort of person that's a perfectionist and you're trying to mess with every single cut, and it's not going to happen, man. You're not going to get it done. And back to your point on the comments, it's so funny, man, because I'm a huge advocate for free speech. I hate it when things get censored or blocked out. Like, I'm a believer of the best cure for a bad idea or bad conversation is a good idea or good conversation. You know, like, yeah. And that spreads through to social media. So when I put something up on YouTube, I 100% support the right of every single person that watches that video to basically write whatever the hell they want on it.
Yeah.
The thing is that they don't have the right for anyone else to give a shit. so basically it's hard, man, because you will always, like, whatever you do and whatever you put out there will be a portion of people that will hate on your stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got to have a strategy, like literally a strategy, not just like, oh, I've got thick skin and that doesn't bother me. You need a strategy on how to deal with those people. Actually, I'm really interested. I have never asked you this question. How do you deal with people that are assholes on your channel? And there's two types of assholes, right? There's the asshole that actually has a point, like you said. They're being an absolute ass.
Yeah.
But you have to admit, yeah, okay, dude, you're right. My audio was bad, but you're going about it the wrong way. And then there's the second person who just wants to get a raise out of you. They just want to piss you off. Yeah. So how do you deal with them?
I agree with you, and I'll give you a perfect example of somebody comment. Okay, so one of my beginning episodes, you know, again, I'm not used to being in front of the camera. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous in front of the camera, and so I had my sunglasses on, and one of the comments was, "Dude, you're such a douchebag for leaving your glasses on during your interview with this guy," you know, and that's what he wrote. He's like, "You're a douchebag." So I was like, okay, but he doesn't. Okay, I looked at it and I said, well, I can see where he's coming from, right? I can see where he's coming from. So I just wrote him back, and this is what I wrote. I wrote back. I said, hey man, look, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm nervous in front of the camera. So I told him exactly what that was it. I was nervous, and I'm still getting used to it, and I'm wearing my glasses because of that. And his comment right back completely changed the tone, right? And was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. He's like, okay, but then just to keep his, I don't know, his ego, I don't know what it was, but it was just like, yeah, he goes like this. He writes back and says, but, you know, maybe you should try to find some Ray-Bans or cooler glasses or something like that. I was like, yeah, because I travel so much, and anytime I buy a pair of Ray-Bans, they always break on me. So I do buy those cheap $10 sunglasses. but so, you know, to get back to your point, Jesse, is I handle exactly the way, like, I have to look at it. Look, I'm honored that even somebody's commenting, even if it's good, bad, or indifferent, right? They're checking, and they checked out my content. I'm grateful for that. And I have to look at it through the lens of the viewer, you know? And like you said, there's some guys that, like, I've had guys that says you're promoting alcoholism, you know, and you're killing people. And that's the stuff, like, I'm like, wait, you know, and here's the thing. Why am I going to spend the time and energy on that when I know, look, you know, we all have to look in the mirror. We all have to make the choice. We all understand the second and third order effects of things, right? So that I don't waste my time with at all. And there's quite a bit of, I say quite a bit, but I probably get a couple comments every month about that, like I'm promoting alcoholism and stuff like that, and and which, hey, I understand, but at the same time, there's, we could look at bars, we could look at this, you know what I mean, like, so I don't,
it's a tricky one, man, because
it's a tricky one, right?
It really is, because there are people out there that legitimately lost their childhoods because daddy was a drunk, and daddy was not a kind drunk. And I get that if you never had support through that, and I get that if you went through that you literally saw the worst in someone that should have been there to care for you and love for you because of the bottom of a bottle, dude, I get it.
Yeah.
But it turns out that there are literally millions of us that can enjoy that same stuff that was the end of peace and love in your household. We can enjoy it, and it brings us nothing but peace and love. And I'm not saying that as I get drunk and I feel better. I mean, because of this stuff in this glass and my love for it, I get to meet people like you, dude. And that is a beautiful freaking thing. So I can understand where it comes from. Like I can understand the thinking, but at the same time, it's like totally misplaced in my mind. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's so those are the things I deal with, you know what I mean? And, like I said, I know, like you said, I know for a fact I'm not going to please everybody. So that's right there in my mindset. And the second thing, going back to what I said a little bit ago, was I'm in the arena, man. You're not, until you can do the same thing, and, and then, I get, what I love is I get the real technical guys, right? The guys that have been in the industry for 10 years watching this, and they're like, and then they'll, they'll quiz me on stuff, or they'll tell me and stuff. So I respect all that, you know what I mean? And I welcome it. And, but again, going back to what I said at the beginning, I'm grateful for anybody that's watching my content, chiming in. It gives me perspective. And again, looking at a lens, looking at it through their eyes, and then kind of looking at my content and saying, okay, wait a minute, does he have a point? What is it that, I can maybe change and and get better at, right?
Yeah, totally. I've had a strategy, and I've just literally realized probably in the last 3 weeks that it no longer works for me.
Yeah.
And my strategy was, number one, as soon as you feel your blood rising, put your phone down, walk the fuck away, but remember it and come back to it tomorrow, like literally in 24 hours when you're just completely, you don't care anymore. And then look at it and go, like try and figure out, like you say, does the person have a point? And if they do have a point, admit it to them publicly. And exactly like you did, right? Like, yeah, you're right, man. I'm sorry. Like I said the wrong word. It was a slip of the tongue. For anyone else that's reading this, the guy's 100% right. You can do that stuff pretty easily. Number two was to look at the person that's commenting and try and decide whether or not that person would ever be an asset to your business, to your channel or whatever. If the guy's just being a prick, and no matter what you say to him, he's always going to be a prick, just cut your losses. Like you said, it's just not worth it to you. Mm-hmm. But you do often see people that it's a misunderstanding, or man, the people on the other side of the keyboard are human too, right? Like maybe they just came home from a really shitty day at work. Maybe they just had a fight with their wife. And I've literally had that multiple times. You write back and you're like, yeah, sorry, man. Like you've kind of got a point. I'll try and sort it out next time. But, and you don't even have to like call them on their bullshit. Like sometimes I'd say something like, you know what, but it's kind of hard to take people seriously when they're so abrasive, or, normally I wouldn't. And then quite often, like you say, 2 or 3 days later, you'll get a message back being like, dude, I'm sorry. I was having the worst day ever. Or, oh, I get it. It's just a pet peeve of mine when people do, And then for the flip side, when I had just straight up trolls, here's the thing, guys. YouTube doesn't care what the content of a comment is. They only count the comment as a comment. So when the channel was growing, I actually loved playing the game of trying to get the troll to comment as many times as I possibly could, like on a thread. I'm just like racking up comments from this one person who hates me and wants my channel to die. And I'm like, yeah, you're building my channel. If you're going to do that, guys, the trick is that you need to disconnect yourself from it, and you need to make sure when some random person that never has, that's never watched your content and doesn't know you from a bar of soap, if they look at that comment thread, they need to like go, oh, this person's a crazy person, and the content creator's like just having fun with them. If you can't do that, you don't do it. But my point is, I can't anymore, dude. Like I just don't have the time, So it's kind of like if it's someone I know and it's someone that's been on the channel before, and they're sort of like calling BS on me, that's cool. Like I've got time for them. Or if it's if it's someone that I've never seen before, but okay, I admit you're right. I did rush my research on this point, or whatever. That's something different too.
Jesse, did you ever have a time, when you're because both of our channels are a little over 2 years, between 2 and 3 years. Was there ever a time where you were just like, man, I'm done. Like maybe this is not, you know what I mean? Like, I know we talked about the negative thoughts and being our own worst critic. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that all the time, man. Imposter syndrome is a real, and the problem with them, if you don't know, basically imposter syndrome is that you get really good at something, you start, succeeding, and then you have these weird, like your body or your mind tricks you into thinking that you're shit at it, and that it was all luck, and that you're tricking everyone, and one day everyone's going to wake up and realize that you're like, why, like all of that sort of stuff. The problem with imposter syndrome is when you're in the middle of it, you can't tell the difference between, are these all made up things in my head, or is this real?
Yeah.
So that comes up regularly. But there was two times when I was like literally ready to just walk away from it. The first was when our twins were born, and I couldn't in my head reconcile how going from one kid to three kids and having a job and trying to look after a house and sinking another, like 30, 35 hours a week into this thing on the side was just ever going to add up. So I literally just, after the craziness died down and I sort of took a bit of time off the channel and stuff to get through, that wife at the hospital and all that sort of stuff. I basically just said to my wife, look, man, I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I need to just quit still it. I'm just going to take it down. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? No, you don't. Wow. So, she's been amazing, man. She's been absolutely amazing in terms of support through everything. And the second time was recently when COVID hit and the day job had to let me go. And I wasn't nearly as far down that I think I should quit path. But it was definitely there, man. It was kind of like, okay, things are pretty rough. We don't know when things are going to change. Don't know what the government's going to do in terms of looking after us. And, that 30, 35 hours a week could be used pretty well somewhere else, like looking for a job to get us sorted. Same thing. Wife was the one that got me through it. What about you, man? Like, how close have you got to pulling the plug?
No, man. So one time, and it was right around the 10-month mark. And beer, wine, spirit. I mean, I had some great episodes. I had the Springbank whiskey episode, which I put my heart and soul into that. I put my heart and soul in making wine at the oldest winery in South Africa. I'm pretty proud of this because I'm like, who am I to be able to get into there? And then I put this creative twist that nobody else is really doing, right? With the whole travel and behind the scenes of how stuff is made. So. And I'm just not getting the views, and I'm putting a lot of money. I'm seeking a lot of, obviously, again, time and energy into it. And I think around
all your expenses too, dude. Like,
and the expenses,
just for me,
dude.
Ingredients sucked, but like you're literally flying around and you've got plane tickets for two of you, and
exactly.
It's brutal, man.
It's brutal, and I'm thinking to myself, and that was the exact talk is like, hey, Jeff, like you could be just sitting on a beach drinking boat drinks somewhere, and maybe you get a part-time here, blah, blah, blah. And literally because I was not seeing the views for the amount, I wasn't, the time and energy wasn't equating to what I thought I should be getting.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in Croatia and I was sitting there and I thought to myself, like, man, should you keep going or what, And again, part of me was like, do it. You don't need it. You don't need to be spending this type of money. You could be using it something else, just kind of like what you're talking about. And then the other talk came to, the other conversation I had with myself was like, dude, you just spent 5 years and more, 20 years of military. You never gave up on anything you did. And when I first started this journey, I gave myself 3 years. Just do it for 3 years. Don't never give up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And already at the 10-month mark, right? I'm saying this to myself, or you know what I mean. So I tell people, like, you know, going back to, you know, if there's some people watching, you know, on the channel that are looking to do something like that, maybe they're a distiller, or you know, whatever they want to do, you know, to get their message out, or you know, share content, is one, never give up, but you know, two, you're gonna suffer, man. I call it suffering, but struggling, whatever you want to call it, because you're not. It is the barrier to entry into a platform like this is super tough. And like you said, you know, like first year I didn't see anything. It was right around, you know, just after a year where, you know, like you said, you get that one magic moment, right? That luck, that spark, that video that somehow just takes off. You don't know why, because it's been sitting there for 3 months. All of a sudden, right? It's just all of a sudden, bam, and everybody's seen your content, and next thing you know, you go from, you know, your mom and brothers subscribe to, you know, to tens of thousands. And so, and that's what it reminds me is that if I would have given up, I would have never met you. I would have never met the amazing people, right? The stories that I did after the fact, the growth, all the people that are contacted me based off of, you know, seeing the episodes that have, you know, blossomed on YouTube and stuff like that. So that's just a constant reminder for me, even looking back at that and the lesson. So if anybody's out there that's thinking about that, or when they start, have that in your mindset, you will. And with anything you do, right? I mean, starting a business, you're gonna struggle, you're gonna suffer, man. So
100%, dude. It's interesting that you said the only thing that got me through the first initial start of it was exactly what you just said. Pick a timeline and pick what you have to do in that timeline. So for me, it's 1 year. And for 1 year, I am going to put a video out every Friday morning, rain, hail, sickness, whatever. Friday video, 1 year. And I had a set of goals that I wrote down, and I said, this is the number. If I get to this many views and this many subs in 1 year, I'm allowed to entertain the thought of continuing. If I get this many views, then I have to find a reason to stop, you know, like a valid reason to stop. And if I get this many views, I'm not allowed to stop. I got to go for another year, you know. And then if I go for another year, these are the numbers that I get to. Yeah. And that for me, I'm an interesting person in terms of, you know, how some people work really well with they get handed a schedule and you have to do what you have to do. Some people are really good at managing their own time, and then some people work really good under pressure. And what I mean by that is we procrastinate until the last minute, but then we freak out because the deadline means a lot. That's kind of what I fit under. So like I can set deadlines for myself pretty well. I suck at managing time up until those deadlines, but then I'm pretty good at sticking to them, you know. So putting that stuff in stone for me meant that it didn't, how do I put it? The results didn't matter. It doesn't matter if you put a video up and you get 10 views. Yep, I'm not going to say that's pretty, but it doesn't matter. That's not my goal. My goal is to get another video out next week. You know, and I think I think you have to do that, dude, because this circles back to what I was saying at the beginning. Is your job is to do everything right, so you have the opportunity to take advantage of stuff when luck comes your way. You know,
100%, man.
So that's what got me through, dude, and I think that reaches out to, or it applies to, it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Like, so if you're starting a distillery, same thing. It's not about sales in the first year. It's about whatever it happens to be that you know, like I want to get a certain product to market, or, you know, set goals that aren't necessarily results based, I think is important. And definitely, if you're looking at this because you are thinking of doing social media marketing for anyone or for a spirits company, if you're going to be creating content, and the content is not the end goal, the content is a lead generation tool, or, you know, that's what you're using to get your company known to people, whatever it happens to be, you have to look at it the same way. Because funnily enough, dude, YouTube, in my mind, is one of the only platforms left where you can create content and organic growth can get you somewhere. Like, yes, yeah, like if you use advertising and other paid means to jumpstart that initial curve, cool. Like, yeah, nice work. But Facebook, for example, dude, like that's just pretty much dead now. Like it's pay to play when you come to business stuff.
Yeah, it is, and it's so true. I call it social currency, because as I see, and I'm with you. My thing is it's not the viewers, it's not the subs, it's not anything like that. It's to get a better episode out. Whatever the crap for me right now, especially during the COVID, because it takes a little bit longer for me to produce the episodes. I was doing 2 a month. Now it's obviously during the situation we're down to 1 until I can get back out there and start traveling again. But it's putting out the best episode possible, making it better than the last time. So not worrying about the subs, the views, and all that good jazz. But yeah, I look at it. But at the same token, that's when opportunity starts knocking. Just in the last few months, because of the few videos that, like I said, magically. I don't like the word. The videos of if I was jumping off a cliff down in a bottle of booze, that would have went probably viral. But unfortunately, I was just showing people how to make it, so it wasn't as cool as something like that. So, but it's still, those few videos popped, and all of a sudden, my social currency went up like 300%, and all of a sudden now I'm getting emails, I'm getting messages, I'm getting sponsors and stuff like that, and it's just so crazy for me to because those videos have been sitting there for so long. Again, it goes back to the whole island theory. It's like nobody knows what you're doing, at all until you got to get your content out there somehow. And again, that's the other thing when you first start. It's that budget. Like I don't have a budget to be throwing out to get millions and millions of people to see my content. So I have to be really strategic and try to make my dollar go stretch a long way. You know what I mean? In terms of and that's my job, and that's again, that's the other aspect of it behind the scenes that nobody sees, is figuring out how I can do that creatively. And fortunately for me, it's been really good because I am in beer, I am in wine, I am in spirits. Luckily, a lot of people enjoy that globally, and I'm able to market. Totally. I'm able to market accordingly. So, but it definitely does take time.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me, it's funny. Like more and more, I'm realizing the thing that is most important to me is the connection. It's being able to talk to people just like you, like Murphy from Cedar Ridge. Which, if you didn't know, guys, it was Jeff that sent the email for me, which was pretty freaking cool. And it's stunning to me. And every now and again, now I'll contact someone and be like, "Oh, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. Would you be interested in talking to me?" And I'll get an email back saying, "Oh yeah, dude, we know your podcast. We love it." Like, wait, what? It's so bizarre to me. But it starts to happen and it opens doors. It's crazy, man.
It does, man. I always tell people, like, if I could sum up one word of what I do for beer, wine, and spirits, it's connecting. Yep. It's connecting you to the person who's that label you might have saw. Like how many people have drank Lindemans but have never met the brewer, or what I mean. And I'm able to connect you to that. You know what I mean. And on the flip side, what I've learned is that the distilling community, the brewing community, the wine, like it's such a small world, when you think about it. And somehow, some way, somebody knows somebody, you know what I mean? That's
yeah.
And like you said, that's the coolest part is because everybody's so willing and to help you out, and teach you, and I'm starting to realize that if, and you connected me to the Texas, the Whiskey Association, and here I am here I am in a few weeks going to go tell the story about Texas whiskey, man, and highlight the try to give people a better understanding of Texas whiskey that's only been around just over a decade, and we're hitting the Northern Trail first up in Dallas, Fort Worth area. So, and you made that connection again. Here's the cool thing is you're in New Zealand. I've been bouncing around in freaking all over Europe, and I just came back to the United States, but I knew nothing. Literally, I didn't know nothing about Texas whiskey other than I think I heard about Balcones and a couple words, and then obviously Iron Root, winning that single malt, or I think it was from one of the whiskey publications. But you were like, dude, check this out, and that's what, for me, that's what's super cool about all of this.
Oh, it's so cool, man. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with them, because everything I've done in Texas has been very much geekery focused, and I know that that you're going to go in there with that sort of storytelling mindset, and you're going to go and visit it as a whole entity, which is really cool. I know you're going to go see the guys at the Brothers Licorice at Iron Root. That's going to be amazing, man. I'll give you one tip, dude. Get a hotel as close to Iron Root as you possibly can.
Yes,
because they will not let you walk out of there. I guarantee it. And every little whim that you have. Oh, have you ever heard of people using this weird? Oh yeah, we've got that. It's in a barrel. You want to taste it?
So I've been warned. I've been forewarned, and so yeah, I've taken notes, and I have created a strategy based off of what you just said, Jesse.
Cool, man. I'll make sure to say hey to everyone over there for me, because they are, they're just they're a different kind of people, dude. I never realized how, living down here in New Zealand, we see and hear of America what Hollywood and social media gives us, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a pretty straight up and down idea of what Texas was going to be like, and I only went there to hang with the Whiskey Tribe guys, and I could not have been more wrong, man. I love that place. I feel so at home there, dude. They have sheep all over the place. It feels just like New Zealand. Yeah, you're gonna have a blast, man. Okay, so we've hinted at this video of yours, or a couple of videos of yours that have been doing really well. And last time I checked, man, you just got over 1 million views. 1 million views on your tequila episode. Congratulations, man. That is freaking awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was such a cool, episode. I went in there not knowing a thing about tequila. Obviously, I did my research and stuff, but I think what was so great about it is everybody thinks of tequila as, hey, salt, lemon or lime, depending on where you're at in the world, and the lick, drink, suck thing, right? And it's just like boom, and it's like get drunk, wake up with this freaking crazy hangover. And what I found was that it's just like what real tequila actually is absolutely amazing. It's a phenomenal product. Casa San Mateus opened up their arms with Carmen. She's one of the few female owners of Casa San Mateus that's making Corazon tequila, and they sat there and showed me the process of how tequila is made, and we told her story and showed people behind the scenes, and this is how it is. This is what it looks like, and made an ass of myself going out in the agave fields, chopping that agave up. And, it's a lot of work, it's tough work. And I think that's what I really enjoy, not only about that episode, but, all these episodes, is to highlight the behind the scenes, because to make it on the shelf, the product, make it on the shelves in stores around the world, it's a lot of tough work. And I want to show, people all over that are interested in it, how much work actually goes into it. And it's quite a bit. And tequila's, listen, it's the most regulated spirit, in the world. A lot of people don't realize that, in Texas, in Kentucky, in Scotland, we can open up barrels and take out samples whenever you want. And their government regulatory program, the CRT, they have labels over each tequila barrel. And if you want to sample something, you got to call them. They got to come out. They got to watch you do it. They monitor crazy. The agaves and when it's time to harvest and you bring them to the distillery, they know what lots, what it is. I mean, so And it was eye-opening for me to see all that, and see the hard work that goes into, and the craftsmanship that goes into it, and when I got to try, I know, before going there, I knew gold and silver, right? I mean,
yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm hearing words like reposado, anejo, extra anejo, and these terms I never heard. And then, they were put in front of me in these nice glasses and these stemware glasses, and swirling it and tasting it. I was just in awe. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not what I learned. And this is not what my friends know. This is not what a lot of the people know. And I think that's why the response was so well to the episode, is people were just actually like, wait a minute, this is what tequila is. And so it was very cool. And that's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Not only connecting people, showing you who the people are behind the label, but also showing you the process of how it's made.
Totally, man. I thought exactly the same thing of tequila. And my brother-in-law, shout out to Ryan, if by some miracle you ever hear this, he sat me down. He was like, dude, have you ever had good tequila? I was like, good tequila? Those two words actually coexist together? I thought, yeah, it was just an alcohol delivery device for me, man. Especially being stuck down here. Like, I don't know if I can buy good tequila.
Right.
Like, actually good tequila if I wanted to. I'm sure there's some specialty stores. But yeah, we went down to the did we go to the I think we went to the bottle store, and he had a few things on his shelf at home. And it was nothing super fancy. It was all, like in I guess probably $30 to $60 range bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But he went through the whole thing with me, and he was like, yeah, this is Anejo, Reposado.
Yeah.
I can't remember the I guess it's
Blanco. Yeah.
Like went through it all with me, and I was like, holy crap, there's like a rainbow of flavor within this one category, Yeah. And then hanging out with, if you get a chance, dudes, Josh and Gretchen in Texas, they are reps for Iron Root. Awesome people. They were the people that first introduced me to Texas Spirits. So shout out for you guys. Love your work. Love what you're doing. Can't wait to see you guys again. But I was staying in the hotel that will forever be called the Murder Hotel going forward. The place was booked out for, I guess it was Mardi Gras or something. So I just booked like the closest, cheapest thing I could to like all the places I needed to go to.
Yeah.
And the first night I showed up there, and the nightman was like telling me about how someone got shot in the parking lot the night before. And I woke up the next day, and the guy was out there like picking casings up off the ground.
Oh man! And this is your first time in Texas, right?
Yeah. And Josh and Gretchen rolled up. We never met in person before, and they rolled up and came and hung out in the hotel, and we recorded for like 3 hours. I don't know. I guess like I was kind of just laughing at the state of the hotel. I thought it was funny. I found out later they were a bit shocked. But anyway, long story short, I tried a few things. I pinched a few things out of Josh's glass over the time, and just like smoky tequila. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. And for those so if you're listening at home and you haven't watched Jeff's channel and you didn't listen to me when I said stop, pause, go to YouTube, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can watch his shit. I don't know if you're going to take this as an insult or not, but you're kind of like the Mike Rowe of booze. Like,
dirty
jobs.
I'm pretty sure if Mike Rowe heard that, he'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about, man?"
My point is, you like
man.
rock up and you get stuck in. Like it's not you like hanging around and having interviews. It's like you're chilling and like shoveling peat or hacking up agave plants or whatever. Yeah, it's freaking cool, man. It's dope.
Yeah.
So watch his shit, guys. Check it out.
It's funny because a lot of people, when I show up to these distilleries, wineries, breweries, right? The first thing they do is I show up, and I'm a trucker hat, t-shirt, rock and roll t-shirt, and Chuck Taylor's or band, whatever. And then I have a videographer with me, and we show up, we knock on the door or whatever. They're like, "Oh, where's the rest of the crew?" So one, So first of all, like one, we kind of laugh and we're like, okay, yeah, well, our content's pretty good then, then thinking that. And and then I always get like with some of the marketing team from the distilleries will come up to me and like, and they'll see us filming, and it's totally unorthodox, right? I'm like, yo, this shot right here, come here, hurry.
Yeah.
And it's just it's not what they're used to seeing, and we're just so unorthodox, and just we have our style of way of doing things. And I get the marketing team from some of these distilleries, like, are you sure you can make it as good as that tequila episode that I saw? And I'm like, yeah, please, I'll promise
this
you.
is what we did for that.
Yeah, I promise you, we'll make it as good, because they're looking at us like, there's no way they're making this film look like this. So
it's a couple of artats and board shorts.
Yeah, exactly, right. And they're like, I can't take this guy seriously, man. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So,
but the thing is, dude, like the market for this stuff has changed so much. Like, yes, good production value is rewarded. Yes, 100%. Making shitty stuff for the sake of shitty stuff doesn't work. Yeah. Every now and again, maybe you can like get away with shaky cam type stuff to like tell a story. But once you get past that and you just admit that there's like what we said at the beginning, right? Like good enough. You just need good enough. And yours is really good, dude. Like your production is real high. It's straight up like when I'm trying to describe your stuff to people, it feels like a what do you call it? Like when a network does a like a test thing. Like it feels like something off the Discovery Channel, like the pilot. It feels like a pilot from the Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
Like that's literally like it looks good, guys. Like it is. You can tell it's not a whole crew if you're used to working with video cameras and stuff. You can tell that it's like one, maybe two guys with a camera.
Yeah.
But you make it look good, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
My point is, once you get to that level, sinking more money and making it better, in my opinion, doesn't help. The thing that helps from there on in is authenticity. People actually being them and like showing up and actually recording what happens and telling the story of what happens, not rolling in and manufacturing drama and turning it into a reality TV show and like moving people around. And it's so funny. Like as a photographer, you see it all the time, or like when you're watching random stuff, like stuff that you're into, right? Oh, dude, perfect example. You watching military shit on TV and you're just like, okay, it looks dope. Like, aesthetically it looks dope, but why are you standing there? Like, why the fuck are you not dead?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
For me, it's diving, like scuba diving. It's like, what the fuck did you just do? Like, you're dead now. You are 100% dead, or if you're not dead, you're bent. Like, you're fucked. So I guess my point is like, it's really nice to see you rolling in and doing what you need to do on the production side, like taking the steps you need to do to make it look good, but then letting that stuff get out of the way and just let it be about the people and about what they do. Yeah. And then you're there as I'm
a guide. I mean,
that's exactly it. You connect people and you interpret. So like when you hear something and you don't understand it, you ask questions because you figure that
That's it, Jesse. I tell people all the time, like I'm not the star of the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like it says beer, wine, and spirits for a reason. It doesn't say Jeff Bradford's journey of beer, like, and the reason is I'm wholeheartedly like I'm learning, right? So people are coming on this journey with me to learn, but I'm not the star. Like the people that are making the product are the stars. Those are the people that are the stars of the show. The sense of place. And that's what I'm trying to capture. I'm trying to just bring you into their world, show you how it's made. And the other thing I always tell people is they always see me cut, shoveling malt for, 5 minutes. I mean, I was there for a week straight with those guys. Because again, a lot of people don't realize this is, again, I'm learning. I'm on this journey to learn. And the only way to do it for me, like we were talking, before we started the podcast was I can't open up a book and just start reading and like shiny things, squirrels. I'm lost. Like, you know what I mean? Like Jesse, I'm being real. Like so, but if I'm hands on, I'm more of a visual conceptual. So I'm hands on. I'm learning. And now when I pick up a whiskey book, I'm reading right now. I'm getting ready for the Texas whiskey. So trying to get schooled, but when I read this book, it puts it all into perspective for me, because I've done a lot of the things that they're describing and talking about, and asked those stupid questions already with and had a distiller from a major company tell me, you know, the answer and stuff like that. So, but that's it, man. I'm not trying to be in front and flashy and give you all the. I'm the guide. I'm just a guide in all of this, and I'm going to continue to go that route. And that might hurt me, maybe, you know. And but my creative is connecting people. I want the people that you know, the place and the people at that place where I'm at, they're the stars. And I'm just being able to connect people to that. And that's my thesis of and that's why I started Beer, Wine, and Spirits.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. You could do flashy stuff. You could do sensationalist sort of stuff. And it's the easy road, man. Like, 100%. Doing goofy shit on camera, it gets clicks, it gets views. But it's empty. It is so empty. It's people that will, like you'll get one video. So like maybe your tequila video, instead of having 1 million views, maybe it's got 24 million views.
Yeah.
But then those 24 million people are never coming back. They don't give a damn about you. They didn't learn anything from you. They didn't fall in love with a product or a category of spirits. You know, like what you didn't lead them to something.
Right.
So like, what does it matter? Like, what does it do? You get like, nice. You got some AdSense revenue out of it. And that's it. Oh, and by the way, guys, okay, Jesus, we didn't talk about this at the beginning.
First,
you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
First it was the sigh, and then I heard AdSense. Oh shit! Here we go. You know what? I might, before you get into AdSense, I might need to fill up.
Top up, dude.
Yeah,
top up. Go for it. I'll fill up too. I'll fill up. I can start rant before you get back.
Yeah.
Brad, dude, you're back. What are you drinking? I got some Starwood in my glass. What have you got?
So I am, like we were talking about before, I am, there's a heart. I'm still trying to love peated whiskey, you know? So in the glass right now is Balvenie Week of Peat. And it's I'm a big Balvenie fan, and I can always find it anywhere I'm traveling. Somehow, some way, Balvenie's doing it right on the distribution side of things.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, for me, that's always one of those go-tos. I could find it anywhere, and one of my friends sent this to me because I needed to start drinking a little bit more peat and getting it. You know, I'm not the one that's going to buy peated whiskey off the shelf. Just it's not in my palate right now. So, you know, I got a few friends of mine that are pushing me in that direction. So thanks to them. Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely room for this is what I like to drink. And this is what I'll have on my shelf for when I just want to sit down and enjoy something without thinking about it. Yeah. But then there's the stuff that you drink to learn about it, right? Like the more I get to know you, dude, you are 100% a skills collector. Like you just like learning shit. So cheers to that, man. I feel that.
No, cheers. Thank you, man. And that's it. You know, that's again part of the military background. And I think one of the things, you know, and you know, not to get off base too much, but you know, going back, like the term alcohol, it just has that bad connotation. Like you say it. When I say I'm in beer, wine, and spirits, or I say I drink, you know, or I might have a drink, there's a difference between drinking and tasting, in my opinion, you know, and and so, you know, but oh man, I get so much flack, like I'm an alcoholic for tasting, you know, every week, this week, tasting a different peated style whiskey, you know, and tasting it, you know, and so I don't know about you and how much flack you get over that, but I get. The first question I get is, you know, how much do you drink? I have a drink every day. Oh, you're an alcoholic. No, I'm not. Wait a minute. Stop.
Yeah.
You know,
I pour one standard drink and it lasts me like 45 minutes.
You know what? That's exactly it. Like I have a beer and and it'll take me some time. It's not like it's boom and I'm like, oh, it's gone, you know, and chugging or anything like that. But anyway, not to get off topic on it, man, but yeah.
No, it's fine, man. That's what we're here for. The worst for me is when you have kids, you end up hanging out with people that you wouldn't have hung out with normally, right? Because your kids are friends.
Yeah.
And like my wife will organize play dates and someone will come over to our house for the first time and little Timmy runs in, you know, to play with our daughter or whoever the hell it is. And they come in and they walk in the door and I'm never here. Well, I wasn't. This is like when I was working. It hasn't happened since COVID, obviously. But
Yeah.
someone will walk in for the first time, and my wife says they'll just like stop, and their eyes will be like wide open, and she looks around. And she's like, "Oh yeah, there's actually like 30 bottles of spirit sitting out on every surface of our, on the table, on the kitchen bench, on the sideboard, on my computer desk."
There's a decorative bottle out front on the stuff that ties the room together.
Yeah, there's probably like half drunk glasses sitting around, and people walk in, they're like, "Holy shit, what have I walked into?" And then there's always this there's this moment where you got about a minute, and if you can nail the explanation in a minute, they'll probably go, "Oh, okay, I kind of get it." But if you miss that, dude, like first impression, it's gone. And it's kind of like, no. If I was an alcoholic, none of this stuff would exist. I would have drunk it all. Because see that bottle that's like got this much drunk out of the top of it? I opened that like 2 years ago. And every now and again I go back and have it, like people just don't get it, man. You're so right. And the same thing, we're like, especially spirits, right? You're like, I just poured a drink. They're like, "Oh, but that's spirits." Like, yeah, dude, but it's the same amount of alcohol as a beer. "Oh, but it's very strong." Like, the same as a beer. On that maddening note, AdSense.
AdSense.
Okay, here's the deal, guys. No one is getting rich off AdSense. It doesn't happen. If someone is getting rich off AdSense, like, how do I put it? If 10% of your income as a content creator is AdSense, then you're doing pretty well on AdSense. Like, it's just not, unless you have millions and millions and millions of views, it is not something that is going to pay the bills. Don't get me wrong, it's like a nice addition, like it's a nice additional like revenue stream. I mean, that's how I feel about it anyway, dude. What about you?
No, it's exactly it, right? I mean, I think both of our channels, I mean, you're pushing closer to the 100,000 mark, here, and I'm hitting the mid 50s, and I think you said it exactly right. Like, I mean, you need to be up in the million, subs, and and 10% are watching that everything's coming to watch, minutes. If you have good content and you're keeping on longer, that's where I don't necessarily, I don't get the algorithm. I don't get how it works. But if your content's good, you keep people on your video longer. Like, my drop off rate, which is a term you hear on the analytics side, on the behind the scenes side of your YouTube analytics, and mine's at 60 to 70%. So people are watching 70% through, and I have to say that YouTube or the algorithm has to look at that and say, wow, that's pretty good, because attention spans nowadays, you have to catch people like that. If not, they're clicking to something else, to grab their attention and watch. So again, it goes back to like what you were saying is, content is king. And the other great thing about it is, are you creating content that's evergreen? My videos are evergreen. So that means my tequila episode and how it's made is, going to be this, going to be there 3 years later, and it's still going to make revenue, because there's still going to be people 3 years from now wanting to understand that and learn that. So I think that's what's great about it too, in the long term of the long game of this whole thing is, if you're talking about COVID right now, and in 2 years from now, it's an afterthought, nobody's going to click on it, but everybody's going to click on or have, there's going to be distillers every year in and year out, getting into it, or hobbyists or something that are going to be searching for something like that and go to and see your stuff. So I think that's important to realize. But like you said, if you're trying to get rich on it, man, and think you're going to get rich on it, it's a nice supplemental, income to have.
It's lovely to have. Yeah,
it's lovely to have. You get, and I'll give it to Google and the platform there. That's they deliver it. It goes right in. For tax purposes, they send you those nice little, you could do your taxes on. So it works out really well. But yeah, I'm with you, man. The only thing I'm banking on is creating great content it's evergreen, and it's going to be there for years to come.
Yeah, and this goes back to the grind too, right, guys? Like, when you first start, it's so funny. Like, I've had people, like, oh, you're only doing this for the money. Like, yeah. Dude, should we talk? Like, we can talk because I'm making about 50 cents an hour by my reckoning so far. And now that's going up significantly. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm in this to support my family. That's what I want to do. But it's my choice to do something that I love and I'm passionate about. And I feel like I am actually helping other people when I do it. And I'll take a pay cut to do this as opposed to sling dog food, which was what I was doing before. I don't care a shit. Like, I love dogs, sure, but like, am I making the world a better place by selling dog food? No, I'm not. So it's hilarious, dude. They're like, oh, this video is only 8 minutes long. How long did it take you to make? Like an hour? I'm like, oh, dude, you've never touched a camera. You've never edited a video. You've never done anything on YouTube. You've never done anything on social media. I know that because any one of those things takes about, it's so funny. Like the idea of think of something. So like, how do I put it, guys? Okay, think of your favorite meal that you like to cook. You like to cook that meal, right? Maybe that takes you an hour to cook. Okay, cool. If you're going to video it, now it's going to take you 5 hours. And if you're shooting it by yourself and you don't have a cameraman, it's probably going to take you 8 hours to shoot it and get good content.
I'll give you an example. Like in the editing world, it's 1 hour of footage, or one minute you see takes an hour of editing time. So if you're 8 minutes, you got an 8-minute video. I mean, you're looking at 8 hours. And that's with somebody that's a professional. So that's pretty interesting when you think about that. And it does take a lot of time. And you think about it in the creative aspect of things. It's for me, like I just launched the Lambic episode and how, the brewing process. I
haven't watched that yet. I'm excited to, by the way, dude. I'll watch it tonight.
The brewing process of Lambic, and my thing was, when I was looking at it, was the balance of story to information. And really, because you can lose people so much by being really too technical. Coming to my channel, because people, again, you get more of the story with bits and pieces of the information, and I find a good balance in that. But that's something that's always difficult for me is when it's too technical. For me now, I've done it enough times where I can watch it and say, yep, it's too technical. I already, you know what I mean? I already know. But at the beginning, I remember, I was putting out a freaking technical manual on this thing in video format, like how to brew beer. And I was just, it bored me. And I think we got to keep that in mind. And the other thing too is you got to keep in mind the demographic of people that are coming there. There's all different types of demographics. There's experts, there's novices, right? There's people that have done it a few times. And so, I think, again, it's, going back to the whole, if you're looking at starting this thing, you got to keep that in the back of your head when you're creating content like this. It's not as easy as people think.
Oh, dude, it is so not. It's so not. That 8 hours for that tracks for me. Like when I'm doing B-rolly, like
1 minute,
the 1 minute stuff. Yeah, it takes forever, man. Like one of the last videos did, I spent an hour on one transition. Like, and that's literally, I've got this piece of footage and I've got another piece of footage and I've put the two together. And how do I artistically switch from one to the other? And it was an hour just on that, and then you look at a 40-second piece of B-roll and there might be 25 cuts in it. It's crazy. The talking stuff I've got much better at, and the reason I've gotten better at it is, like you say, right? Like you start to self-censor isn't the right word, because it's not that I'm not saying things that I want to say but I won't. It's I guess I self-script, like in my I can be kind of like talking and processing what I'm saying, and like, oh shit, you said the wrong thing, and like stop halfway through a sentence, and like I can do video editing as I'm talking, if that makes sense.
No, definitely.
So that's better. But our content is very different, man, because like you said, you're telling a story and you're taking people to a place and you're sharing a place and a product and a process and a love with people. And oh, by the way, if you happen to learn a little bit about how it's made, then that's cool. But the how it's made is there to reinforce the interest and the love of what it is that they're doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas for me, I'm doing the opposite. I'm like trying to teach people how to make something, but crowbar enough interest and story into it that it's not completely dry. And dude,
Yeah.
it's a hard juggling act finding that balance, and you can't
It
make
is.
everyone happy.
No, you're exactly right. And you said it perfectly. Like, you would come to my content and you would say, okay, yeah, I understand how like whiskey's made, like the basics, right? It's 101. But if I want to know, okay, in one of the steps, that Jeff talked about in his episode, they would go to your channel to find that step, you know what I mean? And get a really in-depth conversation about that. Like, I could talk about the mash bill. Okay, the mash bill is, 51% corn and 23% rye, and and they could go to one of your episodes and figure out why that's the case, and that's what the respect about the whole thing. And for me, it's I think, again, going back to starting, it's like, why you have to be clear on the direction you want to what you want to do, who I always said, what you want, who you want to be, in this,
and who your demographic is.
That's exactly it.
So dude, I just found out something that you're doing coming up. We were talking about this, I think we were messaging a few days ago, and I found out. And as soon as you said it, I started looking at my calendar and trying to figure out if I can come visit you while you're doing it. But you're off to Scotland, man. Do you want to tell us why you're doing that? And I haven't heard a whole lot about what you're doing, so I'm like legitimately interested to find out myself right now too.
Yeah, well, like I said, a lot of people just see me, in front of the camera, connecting people. We've already beaten that horse up, man. So it's, talking about the story and stuff like that. But literally, this is my journey of beer, wine, and spirits. I spent a career in the military, closed that chapter. And now my purpose is to educate people about beer, wine, and spirits globally. What's tequila? What is spirits over on the far side of the world you've never even heard of? That's what I'm exploring. That's what I'm doing. But at the same time, as I learn about, proficiency is the key. And for me, like you were talking about, like, I love learning. I love skills, and I love that. That's part of the mastery of this whole thing that I'm on. And I'm moving to Scotland next year, August 2021. One, to get over there and drink the fucking scotch. You know what I mean, my man? So
I do know what you mean. Yeah, and I'm jealous.
But more importantly, it's to learn the distilling side of things. So right now, for those that don't know, I'm actually going through the brewing program in San Diego. So I'm actively behind the scenes. I'm actively learning through education. I'm going through an online program for winemaking at UC Davis. I'm enrolled in classes right now in San Diego, learning from some of the top brewers there in San Diego. Because again, I want to be that subject matter expert in beer, wine, and spirits. Like you said, the Mike Rowe. I want people to ask me, like, what should I be drinking? What should I be doing? How should I do this? And if I don't know it, I want to be able to direct them to people like yourself, because I've met people in the industry like that, to answer those questions. But yeah, and that's why I'm moving to Scotland, is I'm going to school there for a year, going through their brewing distilling program. And the thing out of that too is while I'm there, is to, again, connect to all the distilleries there in Scotland. I want to bring to life a new, I look at all, YouTube like videos that are on Scotch, and they're 6, 7, 8 years. And I just feel like they're targeting demographic for the older gentlemen, that sit around, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I want to bring a fresh perspective on it. I want to talk. I want to bring in a new, fresh perspective on it and talk about, the lowlands, the highlands, Speyside, and all those, the different areas in Scotland. Talk about, really, again, get a good sense of place of the now of 2021, 22, and so on, while I'm there, while learning how to distill. That way, when I continue these episodes and these videos and the evolution of what I'm doing, I could talk smart about it and answer. I look at it right now. It is, again, people are on this journey with me to learn, and this is the first couple years are the 101. It's the basics. It's okay. How is wine processed and made? How is, spirits made? And it's just the basics. Here it is. This is low. This is hearts, heads, tails, just the basics, right? But 3 and 4 years down the road, people that have been with me are learning with me. They're growing with me, and and I can add that education to them with the stuff that I'm getting through schools and education in the best in the world. Scotland to learn how to distill. I thought,
why not?
Why not? I'm again beer. Where else would I go than to San Diego, beer mecca in the United States, to learn and to be taught by some of the best brewers, in San Diego. So for me, it's absolutely amazing, and it's just a reinforcement on what I'm learning hands-on in the videos that I'm creating right now.
Totally, man. And I mean, I'm getting more and more, I'm realizing that I always thought networking was bullshit. And I still think networking is bullshit in terms of, I'm going to a network event and I'm going to give my card out to people. Don't give a fuck, dude. But if you show up at their place of business and show genuine interest and like hang out and buy their products, or, if they're running a course and you go and pay to be at their course and actually give a shit and ask them intelligent questions, and somewhere along the line they figure out what it is that you do and why you care about the industry and why you're learning, that is important. It's creating those connections once again, and in that sense for you, I guess it's more of a business thing. It's not that you're creating a connection between the viewer and the person, but you never know who you're going to talk to.
Never.
That is going to open a door for you, right? Like some dude dropped a comment on my channel and a couple of comments on your channel, and somehow we found each other, and then snap, next thing I know, I'm talking to Murphy from Cedar Ridge and you're going to Texas. It's just
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And that stuff doesn't happen if you don't put yourself out there. So I think it doesn't matter whether you're creating content or creating spirits or just wanting to learn, right? If you're not putting yourself out there and actually being just like an awesome human being, I guess, like be the best person you can be and go and like introduce yourself to people. And you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to be like over the top, but sitting in your basement and Googling things is awesome. The fact that we can do that in this day and age and learn so much information from it is amazing, but it is no substitute. It's never a substitute for being out there and just meeting people and getting your hands dirty, man.
One of the things, I always think about is, how many masters of wine are there, out there teaching, they're supposed to teach and spread the gospel of wine to people. And then, and I just look at it and I look at their reach and look at what they're doing. And I think it could be so much bigger and better, and to use technology, and because they have the knowledge, it's like, I always look at, some of these masters of wines and I'm like, man, you should be reaching to so many more people. And, and so my thing is I want, that's my legacy, is I want to be, again, this may sound crazy, but I want to be the face, which it's not a pretty face, but the face of beer, wine, and spirits when it comes to that, because I want people to come to me all over the world, India, China, Japan, Australia, and say, Jeff, I have a legitimate question. And if I don't know it, at least I know people in the industry that can answer that question. I can reach out to you and do that. And literally that's my goal. And, you talked about Mike Rowe, and, it was funny when I started, I was thinking of like, Anthony Bourdain, like his show, and kind of what Gordon Ramsay's doing right now and how he's kind of doing what his thing is. It's really super cool on Nat Geo, and that's what I'm trying to do for the alcohol industry. I'm not swirling a glass. I'm showing you the process of how it's made and showing you the hard work and the stories of all these people, around the world. So, and we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got to say it, dude. There are people that listen to this podcast, more and more that I ever knew, actually. It's starting to surprise me, that are in the game, that have distilleries, that are starved for content. There's, like you said, dude, there are so many people out there doing review type stuff and influencer type stuff. Yeah. And whether that be, just thousands and thousands of pictures of whatever bottle they have at that point in time, or it's a 99.9% boobs with beer next to it, or It's just, dude, it doesn't cut it anymore. People want to know the story of what they're drinking. They want to know more about what they're drinking. They want the essence, the soul, the love, the care, the heartache, the pain. They want to understand how it was made so that when they're tasting it, they can. It's like watching a cooking show so you can enjoy eating that stuff more, right? It's not like maybe you're never going to actually cook that recipe, but now you understand what happens when you put A and B together under the presence of X. You know, you can enjoy consuming it more. And it's really, really interesting to me, man, that there is, I don't know, I feel like there's a resurgence of this. There's been a resurgence, especially in America, in terms of people moving from whiskey was granddad's drink and whatever, like, why would I drink that, through to, oh, this is actually really interesting. I think that's kind of important. But anyway, so that's a long-winded way for me to say, if you are in the industry and you're listening to this podcast and you've got through an hour and a half of us drinking booze together and shooting the shit, reach out, man. Like, get in touch with us. Like, find our websites, get in touch with us. Don't be insulted if we don't get back to you straight away, because the amount of time it takes to get through all the messages is real. But if you have an interesting story, like, get in touch with us, man. We'll get back to you. And maybe it'll take 6 months or a year before Jeff's in your part of the world, but you know.
Yeah, 100%. You know, my goal, and this is so crazy to, so crazy to say, but I want to tell every brewery, winery, distillery story in the world. I according to my calculation, I got to live to about 180, and hopefully science will figure everything out to be able to reach that age. But that's the key, and that's my goal. But here's one thing that I'm interested in. Comments from your viewers is, we're talking about an episode there in New Zealand, and I want to know what's like. We have ideas, I know you and I have thrown a couple ideas back and forth. I really want to bring the New Zealand government into this, on why they voted this into, what was their thought process from Hire's perspective at a government level, on why they approved this. And then obviously talking to the distillers around New Zealand, about this. But I look at this, and the reason why I'm excited about this episode is, and I know you are too, is because it reminds me of back in the late 70s when brewing in the United States was legalized, Carter days. And then all of a sudden, bam, the floodgates opened up. People are brewing, messing up left and right. All of these people are sharing what they're doing right, doing wrong. They're putting everything together, and they're making better beer for everybody else to consume. And obviously, we've seen a surge in breweries since then, obviously, and phenomenal, just amazing beer across the board. That is also, sparking interests. IPAs weren't a thing in South Africa as I'm traveling, or Europe. IPAs, bitterness, they're like, whoa, and all of a sudden it's a thing now, and so, I look at it in the same aspect of distilling. If more countries were able to open this up, and allow people to test and make mistakes. And I know there's a little bit more inherent danger, or what we think to be dangerous, but I'd like to hear comments from your viewers on what they would like to see in the episode, like what they would like us to talk about. I know, like I said, right off the bat, what I just said with government, talking to why they legalized it. But yeah, I would like to hear more of, comments of what people would like to see for that episode. Because I think you and I are going to spend a few weeks going around distilling some cool stuff.
Yeah, we're going to do we're going to spend some time together for sure.
Yeah.
And we've got all the time in the world to plan it too. So guys, if you're coming at this from my side of things, Jesse at chasethecraft.com, flick me an email if you've got some ideas on what we think we could do. What's the easiest way to get in touch with you, dude? Like, where do you want people to find you?
I mean, just drop a message into Instagram at beer_wine_spirits, and cool. Definitely get back. Yeah, because this episode, I think you and I agree. We want something to come out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I want people to start thinking about this, and kind of, talking to government officials about it, and because I only see good coming out of it and better quality spirits, globally for consumers.
And more variety, more creativity.
More variety. Yes.
Yes, to all of the above.
Yeah.
100% agree, man. Yeah, we need to actually talking with you now has given me a few things I want to talk to you about. So when you're done with this, let's go backstage and we'll hammer out some more ideas. Patreons, if you're listening to this, guys, when Jeff and I start nailing down a closer date and we start getting a date range put in, I'll throw some stuff up on Patreon and you guys can be a little more involved too in what you'd like to see. All right, man, we're over an hour and a half. I think we're about done. I think we're all talked out. Time to go backstage and have another drink.
I hear you, man. I definitely will. Listen, Jesse, man, I got to tell you, dude, I absolutely love what you do, man. And, gearing up for this Texas whiskey episode that you've connected with me with, and I'm truly grateful for that. But more importantly, I'm learning still right now, and I'm like, how the hell are mash bills created? And it's so cool, right? It's because I can go to your channel and check that out. So I have a huge amount, a lot of people talk about competition or this and that and the other, and it's none of that whatsoever. It's, for me, it's how I can support you. And by the way, your content is absolutely amazing. I go to you for, to learn about all stuff distilling, man. So I appreciate what you do. And more importantly, I appreciate you. I know I'm not a distiller. I know you have.
Neither am I, dude.
Yeah. But I appreciate you bringing me on, your channel and allowing me to, tell my story. I appreciate that.
I 100% agree with you in terms of well, first of all, thanks for the kind words, Bird, man. I appreciate that. And I really respect what you're doing too. And, I'm saying it right now. You're gonna definitely be ahead of me by the time in terms of subscribers. Which, let's be honest, guys, subscribers means jack shit on YouTube. That's not the metric that means, but it's the easiest one to track. You'll be overtaking me well before we get to 100K, I would imagine. You're doing awesome stuff, dude, and I love it. But let's. I was about to say goodbye, but you bring up a really good point. If anyone is going to get into this space, the idea of competition is not a thing anymore. It is no longer the idea of what's a good analogy? Joe Rogan's spiel on comedy. I don't know if you guys ever listen to him, but if you've ever listened to a podcast, chances are he talks about this in every damn thing he does. And essentially what his idea is that it used to be every single comedian wanted a sitcom. That was their deal. And the way to get there was to get on the Tonight Show, straight your shit, get on the Tonight Show a couple more times, get picked up for a sitcom. There was only ever, a handful of sitcoms that were worth being on at any point in time. There was only ever a handful of Tonight Shows on at any given time. So everyone was a ruthless cunt and just chopping each other off at the knees to get past that person. That was the state of the industry. The internet comes along, YouTube comes along, and suddenly it doesn't matter, man. It's not like any one person is going to watch my channel or your channel. And they used to be mutually exclusive. They're not anymore. So I love it when people come and watch my channel and then I can tell them to go and watch your channel.
Yeah.
Because it costs me nothing. It costs me literally nothing. It doesn't hurt me at all. It costs me the breath to say the words.
Yeah.
But it gives me so much more because now there's people from my channel going over to your channel and hanging out and having discussions about, they'll be, oh, by the way, Jesse said this in one of his videos, and that a rising tide lifts all boats, man. We're all in this together, and collaboration is where it's at for content creation. So I'm really glad you brought that up, dude. Anyone that's listening, go out of your way to help other people that are doing similar stuff that you. And I think this is true of the distilling world too, right? Like more and more, I'm seeing distilleries in terms of as a brand collaborating with other distilleries, and that's creating opportunity for people that was never there before. Anyway, rant over.
No, it's interesting, man. Yeah. Anyway, we could go on. I'm telling you, Justin, like you and I could chat here for hours. All of a sudden, people are like listening to a 24-hour freaking podcast. And next thing you know, we'll be slurring words after about the 2-hour mark. But hey.
Yeah, we could probably make that happen sometime. Yeah. All right, man. Thanks a bunch, dude. We're out. So a huge thank you to Jeff Bradford from Beer, Wine and Spirits for making this happen. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to him. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And for real, team, his content is excellent, the production is great, and the places and people he gets to talk to is absolutely stunning. It's an inspiration, and I really hope I can start working towards that kind of content now that I'm full-time and starting to build a little bit more budget for this platform. So if you haven't subscribed to his channel yet, do it. Do it now. Go drop a comment. Let him know where you came from. Let him know that you heard this podcast. Let him know that you believe in what he's doing and you'd like to see more of his content. Anyway, guys, remember this podcast was brought to you by Adventures in Homebrewing and by the Patreons. Keep on chasing the craft, guys. I'll see you next time. See ya.